Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen at this point. If you can't, make sure you let me know. Type it in the chat, tell me out loud, and let's go ahead and begin. I am also recording the lesson because I know Jose had to go a little early because he had a dentist appointment. So we're going to continue simplifying algebraic expressions, not just by combining like terms, but also by distributing and by factoring. So let's go ahead and look at this first problem. Take a second to write this problem down in your notebook. Remember, I can't see you, so I'm going to give you about a minute, and then we're going to go ahead and move on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start reading it. If you're still copying it down, that is fine. Keep working. It says, the width of a rectangle is 7 less than its length. Which expression represents the perimeter of the rectangle with a length of x? So there's a lot going on in this question. We're going to have to kind of take it apart slowly so that we can make sure that we're understanding it. So first things first, before I even start underlining, I know I'm working with a rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out my rectangle. Why am I drawing my rectangle? I'm going to use it to help me with the perimeter and so that I can write out what my length is and what my width is. So the question again says, the width of a rectangle, so the width of a rectangle is 7 less than its length. Which expression represents the perimeter? So that's my question. Which expression represents my perimeter of the rectangle with a length of L? So again, a couple things happening. So the question or the problem already tells us what our length and our width is. I'm going to start by writing them down either on the bottom or on the inside just to get an idea of what my length and my width is. So it says with a length of x. That means my length is just the variable x. My width is 7 less than its length. So 7 less than its length. Very important. I know that my length is x. If it's 7 less than, that doesn't mean I'm going to put 7 minus x. That means it's going to be x minus 7. Why? Because it's 7 less than. When it says less than, that means I'm subtracting from the other number. That doesn't mean it would be 7 minus the other number. So you have to be very careful when you see words like less than and more than. That always means you're going to put that number and that sign afterwards. So my width is x minus 7. Okay, so that's the very first part of our problem, figuring out what's our length and what's our width. Now we can go ahead and start answering our question. Our question again was, which expression represents the perimeter? So can someone either type in the chat or tell me out loud, what or how am I supposed to find the perimeter? What do I use to find the perimeter of any problem? Am I adding? Am I multiplying? I'm adding. Am I adding 2 of the sides only, or am I adding all the sides? All the sides. Perfect. So when I'm talking about a rectangle, it would be length, length, width, and width. So I'm going to go ahead and add length plus length plus width plus width. So that's my starter. Now I'm going to replace those letters with what I know they represent. So I'm going to change my marker. I'm trying to give a couple of seconds between to make sure people are writing it down. But if at some point I'm going too fast, make sure to let me know. So I know that my length is x. So I'm going to replace my length with x plus x. And then we said our width is x minus 7. So I'm going to go ahead and put plus x minus 7 plus x minus 7. So now I'm ready to work out my problem. So I'm one step away from having my answer. Okay, so I know from this that I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So I'm going to put squares and circles around my like terms. So all of my x's are alike. So I have that one x, another x, another one, and another one. Keep in mind that there is that invisible 1 in front of my x. And even if I just want to count them all to give me my answer, that works too. So here I would have 1 plus 2, 3, 4. So that gives me a total of 4x. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my whole number. So I have minus 7 minus 7. So keep in mind when you're putting it in your calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and pull mine up too, you're putting that in as a negative. So I'm going to do negative 7, and then I'm going to put in minus 7. Don't put in minus 7 because it's not going to give you the right answer. So my total should end up being negative 14, which you can put in just like this. Remember, this can also be written as 4x plus negative 14. Both of those are correct. So our answer would be D, 4x minus 14. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to make sure everybody has that written down, and we're going to go ahead and look at number 2. Okay, number 2. It says, which expression is equivalent to 10x minus 8 plus 0.5 times 2x minus 3. So I'm going to kind of start it, and then I'm going to have you continue. So for this problem, you got to remember that whenever you see that part right there with the parentheses, that means you're multiplying or distributing. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of write it out so you can see what we're doing. So I have 10x minus 8 plus 0.5, and now I have my box where I'm going to multiply 2x minus 3. So keep in mind, the only thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this section right here that I'm putting a box around, and I'm going to multiply. You don't need to put that big green box around it. That's just me showing you. So go ahead and do that first step, multiply, then bring your answers down, and we'll have 10x minus 8, and then what you have from inside the box. So go ahead and take a second to do that part now. It's okay if you want to do it on your paper first and then put it on your screen, but make sure that you kind of pick up the pace a little bit. Remember, you don't have to draw that second box that I did. That was just to show you what you were doing. Albin, you got to fix that number. It's not 0.6, it's 0.5. And those of you that have already multiplied that first number, don't forget your variable. Yvonne, you need to check that and fix it. You put the box all the way around that 0.5. Remember, I said that box around the 0.5 is not for you to draw. Yeah, here I see you. Don't start drawing random things on your screen. You, Leilani, that looks good. You can keep going. Ruby, yours looks good so far. Keep going. Emily, same for you. Don't forget the variable behind the 1. Because if not, you're going to combine by mistake. Lisa, that looks good. Marisol, yours looks very good too. Yes, Emily, just like that. Now don't forget to bring down the 10x minus 8 so you can combine it with 1x minus 1.5. Just like that. Put a plus between the 8 and the 1, Emily. Karen, that looks fantastic. Don't forget to bring down the 10x minus 8. Luisa, that looks very good. Don't forget to bring things out of the box. Yeah, you just stopped. I don't see absolutely anything. Randy, no, sir. I need to see all the steps because right now the couple steps that you did do on your screen don't lead me to the answer that you circled. Okay, so back to my screen. Let's go ahead and catch up on what I've been seeing on some people's screens. So like I said, you did not need that green box. That was just so people could see what I was telling you to do since I'm not there in front of you. So I saw 1x here and then minus 1.5. Some of us are forgetting that when it says 1x, that's a positive. So you're going to bring it down as a plus 1x minus 1.5. So if you did not get to this part, make sure that this is what both your screen and your notes are showing. So now I have to combine 10x minus 8 plus 1x minus 1.5. I'm going to go ahead and put boxes around my like terms. So I have 10x and plus 1x. Then I have that negative 8 and the minus 1.5. Now, 10 plus 1 should be simple. What is 10 plus 1? We don't know what 10 plus 1 is? You guys are scaring me. Okay, I guess we want me to start calling names. Let's see. We'll start with someone simple. Oh, thanks, Jesus. You saved your friends. 11x, perfect. So now -8 minus 1.5. Put it in your calculators just like that. -8 minus 1.5. And you, Leilani, do me a favor and tell me what that gives you. You can type it or say it. Is it positive or negative? Perfect. So negative 9.5. So our answer is 11x minus 9.5. What I did notice for the people that got a little bit farther in the problem is that you guys are still, first of all, not checking with your calculator for your signs, and you're combining things and you're pretending that those signs aren't there. You have to check your calculator. Thank you, Emily. So our answer was 11x minus 9.5. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to finish writing whatever you can and click the submit button before I move on. Okay, there's still some people who haven't submitted, and I'm about to move on to the next screen. So submit what you have, and I'm moving on. Okay, next problem. This is just like the problems we've been working on. The only difference is that now we have fractions. So, which expression is equivalent to 1/4, 1/4 times 4/7 x minus 1/2 and then minus 3/8. Remember, you have to multiply to get your answer inside the box first, and then we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So go ahead and start by multiplying. Remember, when you multiply, you do not need a common denominator. Randy and Ruby, we're still behind. Let's go. Karen, Angel, and Junior. Well, I know Angel, you're probably writing it in your notebook. I see some people that kind of started, but there's nothing inside the box. You just drew the box. Just the box isn't going to do anything for us. Giuliani, you're on the ball like always. Jesus, you too. Do me a favor and check the denominator for that first problem though. Okay, so far I have 1/4 times 4/7. So if I'm multiplying, and I'm just going to write it out to the side so you can see what I'm thinking. So if I have 1/4 times 4/7, that's going to give me 4 over, so 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 7 is going to give me 28. So I have 4/28x. Now, when we move to our next step, or even in that very step, because you're using your calculators, I would say make sure you're simplifying it, because our answer is going to be in our most simplified form. So if I simplify 4/28, oh, I did just do that. If I simplify 4/28, it's going to give me 1/7x. Now, if I do 1/4 times 1/2, it would give me 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. And don't forget, a positive times a negative gives us a negative. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring everything down. Now, this should be made very simple because you're checking these fractions on your calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to combine like terms. So this 1/7 x is alone. That's the only term that has a variable. And then I'm going to go ahead and combine -1/8 minus 3/8. So I'd have 1/7 x, and if I combine -1/8 minus 3/8, who can tell me what that gives me? Shouldn't take long. Everybody has a calculator. Let's go. Yair, what is -1/8 minus 3/8? Thank you, Jesus. I mean, you're not Yair, but I appreciate it. Can you simplify that for me, please? -4/8 simplified would be what? Guys, this is torture. You aren't even this silent when we do all virtual. I don't care if someone's sitting next to you. When we're in class, they're sitting next to you too. Albin, I would do steps on the side, but the problem is that all of these problems, because we're combining them together, they all have different steps. So that's why we did steps for distribution and we did steps for factoring, but we can't do steps for when we put it all together. When we do it all together, you're going to have to go back into your steps so that you can remember what steps you take for each piece. But if I simplify -4/8, it gives me -1/2. So my answer would be 1/7 x minus 1/2, which would be A. Thank you, Jesus. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my screen. Make sure you're submitting what you have. Remember, this does count as your participation credit for the week. So if you're not clicking submit, I won't be able to see it later. Okay, we're not going to do this one. You guys are going to jump straight to your exit ticket. So you're going to go ahead and yes, you can do it on your paper and then on your screen. That is fine. I will be checking them. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that everybody doesn't see everybody else's answers. I will let you know once you're good to go and start your classwork.